Alright guys, so after a year-long hiatus, even more, Kankan has returned with 2 singles and supposedly an album release in the future. When he left, he was among the top in the whole SoundCloud underground scene, kinda. And with his return, many fans like myself are curious to see, can he stay there, has he progressed, and what his next moves are gonna be. So I'm gonna go over Kankan's recent drop, his alleged album, and the future state of his career / current state. So anyways, let's get into it. Alright, so on July 26th of 2024, Kankan dropped a tweet writing, "Submitted tape, they acting slow, so I'm dropping shit myself, 2 new songs tonight." And he said he was gonna drop multiple times past. People were like, yo, is he actually gonna drop? I'll believe it when I see it. And he dropped 2 songs, My Way, produced by Arena, Two-Sided and Clouded. Arena and Two-Sided are not like his OG prods, but they've been working with him for a long time, so that's pretty cool. He also dropped this other song called So Long with this other producer that he's been working with for a little bit too, so that was cool. Both the songs were really good in my opinion, but I've been a fan of Kankan for a while, so I'm a little biased. I will say, they're not really like hits. They're nothing crazy, you know. I think a lot of people expected Kankan to come back with it's like a bang or something just to, you know, I'm not gonna say shake things up, but at least have people know, yo, I'm back. Because I feel like everybody knows he's dropped, but it's not like a thing or a moment, you know what I mean? He didn't really create a moment out of it, which I think he could have, but I'll get into maybe why he didn't want to do that in the first place. And the reason I'm saying that is because the last time he really had like a moment with a song or like an underground hit was GTA. That was like 2 years ago. So yeah. But anyways, the real big news is that he's dropping an album or a tape. Obviously, he said he submitted the tape, so that means he's recorded the tape. He's been posting himself in the studio, recording, asking producers to send beats forever. How much he's actually recorded, no one really knows. And the reason we know this is like somewhat official is because Hyperpop Daily was supposed to do a show with Kankan in New York, I believe in August. However, they canceled it and rescheduled it to a later date in LA with Summers as well. And when Kankan reposted it on his story to go buy tickets, he said album release party. Anyways, after he announced that he was dropping an album on his story or album release party thing, I actually posted on my poll. Most people didn't know, and people actually weren't too excited. Of course, he hadn't really dropped any music yet, so I'm sure that affected the overly negative response at least a little bit. But here's what some of the people said. Just put the fries in the bag. How have I not heard about this? Even Cardi dropping before him. Okay, at least he dropped, guys. Celtics Shaq, that's a bit harsh. Who? Kankan in 2024 is insanity. I think some people are a little fed up. He also recently tweeted, bro, I don't know why them songs still on streaming, referring to the 2 songs he just dropped. His management or whoever's in charge of that probably just isn't taking that seriously, or they might just be having issues, whatever. I don't really think it's a huge deal. But anyways, let's get into the state of his career or where I see his future kind of going. So number 1, if you go on to Spotify, he has 1.6 million monthly listeners, and some of his songs have some serious plays. Woke Up has hit 100 million streams. Going to Hell has 50 million. A.B. Skelly has 20 million. One of his songs with Yeet has 25 million. His song with Lucky has 8 million. He's got millions and millions and millions of streams. Alright, so he's doing fine. Honestly, his stats are pretty good for someone who hasn't dropped in 2 years. He also made that song Woke Up in 10 minutes. He posted about it on his story, so that's cool, I guess. So statistically, he's not doing bad at all. But the whole question is whether or not he can keep it up or progress. Because as an artist, if you stay stagnant, especially as a rapper, and if you think back to how he used to drop, he was like a mixtape rapper. He would drop. You know what I mean? There weren't really any breaks. Of course, he's come to the point in his career where he could probably drop, some singles and just 1 tape every year and be fine. But the main question is, can he get more popular? Or honestly, even stay as popular as he was? And honestly, I think he can definitely maintain his popularity. Number 1, when Kankan I'm not gonna say retired, but just stopped dropping music and just shifted his focus towards his clothing brand, he was pretty much at the top of the whole underground SoundCloud scene, whatever you want to call it. And at the time, it was kind of different. I think back then, artists like Tana were considered to be bigger. Even Slum Sixes, in 2021, Slum Sixes was as popular as Destroy Lonely. I'm not even joking. Ken Carson was really popular. And a lot of these artists kind of blew up through TikTok. Obviously, Yeet transcended all of this, all of these guys. Ken Carson has gone huge. There was a time when Ken Carson and Kankan were at an even playing field. He's easily surpassed him. Destroy Lonely has surpassed him. However, out of all those TikTok underground rappers, none of them really stuck. And I feel like artists like Kankan, Summers, and Autumn, who also had a couple TikTok songs, they got way bigger, but their fan bases stayed because they had more of a storied career. So they were actually able to build out their fan bases. and Kankan was one of them. So I still think he has that going for him, because realistically speaking, there isn't really anybody else out there that's gonna come and take his spot or go crazy. Because even artists like, I don't know, Netspend, Osama-san, Yapo JJ, like they're not nearly, maybe Netspend and Osama-san, they could, but they're still in like the early phase of their career. They're not really gonna knock him off. And by knock him off or take a spot, what I mean is, fans can only listen to so many artists, you know what I mean? Usually like rappers' careers are cyclical. Like they have this really unknown phase, and then they have this phase where they're dropping like 20 tapes a year, and then of course they slow down, get bigger, their music gets a little more basic, they go a little more mainstream, and they drop, regularly, blah blah blah, how it goes. And Kankan is kind of at that last stage. The other thing about his music as well is it hasn't really changed that much. Like both the songs that he dropped I really liked, but it's not like too crazy. If he dropped it like a year or two ago, like it would make sense, What a lot of people liked about Kankan, the whole Slay World group as well as their affiliates, is how different their beats were, the reverb on their ad-libs, and just how their voice sounded and just how they would rap. I feel like Kankan's new stuff is kind of basic, which is cool because his fan base is pretty big and he can still sustain it, but I think it kind of hurts you in the long run if you just don't progress your sound at all, if that makes sense. Compared to, you could look at Summers and his sound is completely changed. And it's only changed because, he's recorded that much music. His vault is probably crazy. He's been dropping pretty consistently, whether or not fans liked it or not. And his new sound is completely different to his older one. Compared to Kankan, it's kind of just stagnated for the last 3 years. That doesn't mean it's not good, it's just nothing new, you know what I mean? I'm also very interested to see what the tape will include. Is it gonna have a lot of plug and B? Is it gonna have like, I guess the harder Kankan? Is it gonna have like that way too geek kind of sound? And finally, I'm interested to see if it actually does super well. Are people actually streaming it? You can get like a single that does well on TikTok maybe, because that's all he really needs to like stay relevant, just still be doing good. Will he be able to sell out a tour? If you don't know, before Kankan, like I keep saying retired, but or thinking retired, but like just left. He did a tour and he did like a Rolling Loud show, and his performances were just really bad. It was kind of funny. It was really funny, but he'd just be in like slides, lounging back and forth on the stage, muttering, and they'd just be playing his music. I guess that's how he performs. But anyways, that's not exactly a great product if you're going on a tour and selling tickets to your fans. So I'm curious to see how another tour of Kankan's will do. Obviously, the show that he's doing is going to sell out. He hasn't performed in God knows how long, and it's LA. People are going to show up for him. It'll also be interesting to see if he collabs with anyone. There might be like a Lucky feature since they're cool. Maybe a Summers song together. They're like a pretty fire duo, I'm not gonna lie. And yeah, that's all I really gotta say. A lot of questions, to be honest. Just gotta wait and see. Right now, I will say the number one thing Kankan's doing kind of bad is marketing. But I don't really think that matters because, if you go on his Twitter, Kankan can tweet something and just mention someone and be a bit controversial and it'll still go up. I feel like he kind of earned the right or the place to just stop dropping and still be fine. You know what I mean? He's also been making money, like good money, through his clothing brand, so I don't think they'll have any trouble pushing his music, if that makes sense. Anyways, let me know what you think. Personally, I'm excited to hear Kankan. Like, I'm not annoyed that he didn't drop for 2 years because there's been tons of leaks and he dropped like a song produced by DevStacks on DevStacks page, or DevStacks dropped a song. He has plenty of old music, I was talking to my friend, he's a lot older than me. He's a huge fan of Kendrick Lamar. I was like, yo, if Kendrick never dropped, would you be mad? He was like, honestly, no, he's given me everything I've needed. And you gotta think, like, the guy's dropped for like 15 years and Kankan hasn't dropped for 15 years or 20 or however long Kendrick Lamar has dropped for, but we kind of have enough music from him. It would just be cool to have more music and for him to like progress as an artist, and you know what I mean? So yeah, I don't think anyone's like tripping or fiending like, man, I need that new Kankan music. It's not like Cardi or something, you know what I mean? He doesn't have that type of hype, but should be interesting. Anyways, thanks for watching. Have a nice day, and see you tomorrow. Bye.